Well, thank you for a very kind and warm introduction. And I also like to have a warm welcome to everybody joining this presentation today. Today's subject is highlighting the reasons, the importance, and our solutions for control of web tension in the transfer printing calendar. Just a few keywords about Klieverik. First activity started in 1965 under the brand name Stork. At that time, the leading manufacturer of analog printing equipment. We did that for many years, and since 1994, we're completely independent, have no relationship whatsoever with them anymore, apart from the history. And today, where are we? Well, we are active in 50 countries. We have more than 2,000 installations up and running, and that very successfully. We cover the entire scope of what is needed for machine building. So we do our own design and engineering, and that means that we can offer you, of course, the standard solutions, but also very customized solution. And we have a very good reputation for that. For the final part of the delivery, the service, we work with dealers who can give you local support in the language that you speak. But also we have our own team traveling the world to support wherever that is needed. Now, apart from die sublimation, we are also active in some other branches where you can need a belt calendar. And some of these activities are listed here. I mentioned then laminating and coating, and that is actually applying a thermal sensitive glue to bond two or more layers of textiles, and that is used for instance in the car industry, but also in filters, in shoes, and many applications. We also have some special equipments where we talk about wide width equipment. We talk about 5 to 6 meter wide. Think about the thermal bonding process, non-wovens, carpet industry. And then a very special one, but a very intriguing one, is the thermoplastic composite processing. Now, in dye sublimation printing, we're active in all fields of application. We started our activities, obviously, in the sign industry, flags, banners, but now you include booth for trade fairs, wall panels, in interiors, in offices, etc., in shops. Sportswear, of course, and more or less deriving partially from that is the personalization industry, which really took a flight over the last 2 years, COVID time. We have a solution for the fashion industry. We see a high potential over there. There's been a lot of discussion about micro factories, and indeed you see now the first factories actually popping up. Maybe a little bit more down the line, but also the home textiles can be very interesting. We think about the use of pigment inks. And actually there you can use a calendar for curing the pigment as well. Talking about 1 minute fixation time, and that can be perfect solution. Now we have a very wide portfolio of calendars, and that is due to material width. You talk about 1.6 meters up to 3.2 and even 5 meters for the signage industry. You talk about machine executions for roll-to-roll processing, single piece, table in front. Very often we have to match the capacity of a printer or multiple printers. And that comes then along with a different diameter of the heating drum. We start with a small diameter, 200 millimeters, and that can go up well beyond 1 meter. Now the quality will all be the same, dependent on irrespective what machine, and the diameter purely determines the output. They all work with thermal oil for its thermal stability, but against all rumors, no need to change the oil. It will go over a lifetime of the machine. Now, considering tension control, especially the control of the textile, you have to look at several things. The material, it will differ whether you have a flat woven, stable material, or you have a wart knit material. You can have some stretchy material, a lycra content in there, a stretch of several percentages. But also you have to look at the pre-treatment of that material. It must be pre-treated at least at the same temperature where you do the dye sublimation for its stability. Talking about heat, dye sublimation is a hot process. That means you take the polyester fiber very high in temperature to its softening point. It gets very brittle if you go over that. So what you do at the outfeed is very critical. Similar to the paper, it has a natural humidity content of some 7%. In the process, it's all been taken out and you need to do it. The paper will shrink, it will wrinkle, and you have to control it. And thirdly, to keep in mind, when you operate the machine, when you're in processing, by a roll diameter changing, you also get a different tension if you don't have any means to compensate for that. Now here you're looking at a standard Klieverik roll-to-roll transfer printing calendar. Below you will have the textile unwind. The textile will go through a tensioning device, two metal rods where the material is guided around. So here you can create tension or just run it pass through and have no tension at all. Above that you will have the transfer paper unwind, the rewind, and the winding of textile is done at the back. Now this configuration is very straightforward. It is the most flexible to operate for a wide range of fabrics. Now, apart with the standard solution comes the simple manual brake entry for controlling the tension. We have for the fabric at the exit a low tension winding solution. For the paper, all the papers have pneumatic brakes to control the tension of that. And for each paper winding, unwinding position, we work with lightweight aluminum shafts, rubber cords, and that is very easy to handle, very light, and very easy to control. Now, we can start here a video where you will see the white roll underneath. Tyler, can you start the video? Thank you. So you see the textile underneath. You go and see through some rods where you can put the tension. Here it is right open for a low tension. You see the color printed paper, and actually here you see the material coming out of the calendar, traveling to the back of the machine where it's being winded. A nice view from the top. Very slow moving, very sturdy, very high quality. Now, apart from this standard solution, we have some additional equipment for special requirements. What we can add is a low tension textile unwinder. If you look at the left drawing in the red circle, here you see the added unwind solution. The green roll at the bottom, that is the textile. The textile goes up via a tensioning device or a spreader. And at the top side, you see a roll, and that roll is what we call a pull roller. Has a grippy surface and an individual motor. That motor you can adjust for a little bit faster, a little bit slower speed compared to the machine. And with that, you can control the tension of your material going in. If you have it initially a very tiny bit slower running than the machine, you get a nice tension. But if you give it a small plus in the beginning, you get an absolute tension-free feeding of the textile. And that's what you see in the picture next to it to the right. You really create a free loop, absolute tension-free feeding of the material. Now, another situation where you have materials which are sensitive to variation in tension. So it can take tension, but variation, you get potentially big problems. Again, in the drawing, the red circle, you have your unwinding here from a shaft and with a very precise operating electrical brake. Inside the machine, there's a small sensor which is actually measuring the diameter of the textile roll. Now, whilst you're processing and the diameter changes, the sensor will pick it up and will adjust the brake, controlling the tension of this material. Very compact and easy to integrate solution in your machine. Now, passing from the unwind to the rewind, we're looking now at the standard solution for the textile winding. Again, looking at the red circle, the green roll, that is the textile you're winding up, and we're doing that preferably on a roll-to-roll machine on a contact winder. A contact winder is actually two supporting rolls with individual motor which you can control. It works without a shaft, so you wind on a contact surface. The motor, again, you can adjust, so you can put a little bit initially slighter, higher speed compared to the machine. You get a nice compact roll, good tension, which is perfectly for a cutting machine. But if you have sensitive material, you also can put it initially to a minus setting, and you get, similar to the infeed, a very slack, tension-free winding. Now, the nice thing about the contact winder, to mention alongside as well, is that you're not winding on a shaft. That means that whilst you're processing, you can take the first meters off, take it to the cutting machine. Machine is continuing processing, and you can continue winding on the new core. Very nice feature integrated in that. I'll skip this one. So here you're looking now at the back of the machine where you see the textile being winded, textile coming out, going to the back, and here it's been winding up. And you see the core centered between two plates for a nice complete roll. So, final solution, we are looking at a more industrial solution for winding, a big roll winder. In the red circle at the right side, you see a separate framework where you do the winding of the textile. This one has individual motor, and the motor is controlled by the device you see in the red circle more to the left. This is what we call a tensioning device. The fabric runs through a loop, and the bottom roll can move up and down, and this roll is counterbalanced, and that actually controls the tension you put on the fabric. Now, the important thing to notice is that this always works, and it is independent of the diameter of the roll you're winding. It is independent of the speed of the machine. So this is an absolute perfect way to control the tension on your material. And you can do large roll winding as well. Now, to take from this presentation the standard equipment capable to work with a wide range of materials. The outfeed, the winding is especially critical due to the high processing temperatures. That's just the way the process works. We can offer proven solutions, standard equipment, but very compact add-on equipment, but also separate dedicated equipment for large diameter rolls. And to notice, we have more than 40 years of experience and track record in doing this. So finally, why should you buy a Klieverik? Well, as been told in the introduction, we make robust design, we have an industrial approach. Also keeping in mind that the machine always must be easy to operate, easy to access. And the bottom line is the excellent temperature control is vital for this process. So Klieverik offers solutions, standards, and offers customized solutions, including a lot of optional features. Sorry for that. Well, this actually is the end of my presentation. I hope you've been able to pick up some valuable information from this. And thank you very much for your attention, and to hand it over back again to the FESPA organization.